Yadvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Om Vishnu Bharat Paramahamsa Haribranda Acharya Ashokara Srimad Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त की जय।
Jai.
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद की गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय।
Jai.
गंगा माई की जय।
Jai.
जमुना माई की जय।
Jai.
तुलसी देवी की जय।
Jai.
भक्ति देवी की जय।
Jai.
Lord Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo.
All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Hare
Jai Shri Guru, Jai Shri Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Hiranya Kashipur Vakshaha. Shilatam Kalakalai. Ito Nrisingha Parato Nrisingho. Jato Jato Jamitato Nrisingha. Bakhir Nrisingho Hridaye Nrisingho. Nrisinghamading Sharanam Prapadye.
Narasinghamadim Sharanam Prapadye.
Nrisinghamading Sharanam Prapadye.
Narasinghamadim Sharanam Prapadye.
Tavaka Kamala Varinakam Adbhut Sringa Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanu Bringam Kesavadrita Nara Hari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare
Avakara Kamala Varinakam Adbhut Sringa Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahare Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare
Avakara Kamala Varinakam Adbhut Sringa Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanu Bringam Kesavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish
Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare. Please sing the Bhagavan ki Jai. Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to our Sunday feast program, our virtual Sunday feast program. Everybody that's joining us on Zoom and YouTube, thank you for tuning in. We'll be continuing with our introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, as we prepare for Gita Jayanti, which will be on December 25th this year. But before we get into that, we're going to do a quick darshan for those of you that joined us just now. We'll let you have darshan quickly of Srila Prabhupada and the deities. So, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Your most merciful lordships, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jai.
Jai.
I zoomed in, I can't zoom out. I apologize for that. There's a shot that gets all of them. And our most beautiful lordship, Shri Shri Radha Sharad Bihari Ki.
Jai.
Hari Bol. Okay, so we're going to now transition to our Bhagavad Gita study. And I'm going to turn this off and turn the other device on. It'll just take a second. And here we are back again. Hare Krishna. So Vishnu Gada Prabhu, he is cooking the feast today, and he wasn't able to do the class this evening. So he asked me to do it. So we're going to be doing the Bhagavad Gita. We're going to continue to study the first chapter. And there's a lot of nectar in the first chapter. There's so many hidden secrets, so many hidden words. We'll kind of unpack some of them. I just want to get a little bit of feedback real quick. Can everybody hear me okay with the mask on?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so chant Jai Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava
Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
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 Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Vrajanandana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Vrajanandana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tiravanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tiravanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Vrajanandana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Vrajanandana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tiravanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tiravanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
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 Jaya Goranitai, 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 Jaya Goranitai.
Jaya Goranita, 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 Jaya Goranita.
Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra.
Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Subhadra.
Jaya Radha, Sharad Vihari Radha, Sharad Vihari Radhe.
Jaya Radha, Sharat Bihari Radha, Sharat Bihari Shri Radha.
Jaya Radha, Sharad Vihari Radha, Sharad Vihari Radhe.
Jaya Radha, Sharat Bihari Radha, Sharat Bihari Shri Radha.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Gaur Premanande. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashottatara Shishimad, His Divine Grace. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashottatara Shishimad, His Divine Grace. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Maharaj ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrindi ki. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Prem Sagoho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakund Giri Govardhana ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki. Shri Mayapur Dham ki. Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Gangamai Yamunamai ki. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi ki. Harinam Sankirtan ki. Brihat Mridanga ki. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories, the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Hari Hari Bol.
So we're going to continue with our study of the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, setting the scene, observing the armies on the battlefield. Coming up later this month, we have the auspicious day of Gita Jayanti, which is on December 25th. And that is the day in which the Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna. Krishna spoke it to Arjuna. So we're going to go through the Bhagavad Gita. The last 2 weeks, His Grace Vishnu Gadar Prabhu have nicely explained a lot of the background leading up to this particular moment. And hopefully next week he'll continue as well with some more nectar from the Bhagavad Gita and background from the Mahabharata. We're going to go through today through part of the first chapter and discuss some of the meanings that will give significance to relationships that we'll find within the Bhagavad Gita. Before that, we'll chant the Mangalacharam as given in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita. You can join me. Om Agyana Timbarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umliyatam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Vayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagujatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Samjivam Sarvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishnabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Hare Priye, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvyevacha, Patitanam Pavanevyo, Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasudi Gaura Bhaktavinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here we are at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Earlier we had heard how Dhritarashtra was inquiring from Samjaya. Now Dhritarashtra wasn't present on the battlefield. He was older at this time. He was the king. He was older, but he was also blind. Srila Prabhupada explains he was not just physically blind, but also spiritually he was blind. And a lot of his desires led to this moment in time of why this fratricidal war, war between one family that was divided, Dhritarashtra's sons and the sons of Pandu. So Dhritarashtra, it starts off as Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yayutsafaha, Mamaka Pandavaschaiva, Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. So he's asking Sanjaya. Sanjaya had mystical powers. He had the ability to sit in one place and see what was going on and hear the conversation in another place. By the mercy of his guru Vyas, he was able to have this special power, and he was able to use it to explain this dialogue of the Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra, he asked the question, and from the very beginning, he makes a division about his sons and the sons of his nephews, the sons of his deceased brother, Pandu. He says, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled at the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So the holy place of Kurukshetra, it's a Dharmic Kshetra, and this was also explained earlier. I'll just touch on it briefly. Dhritarashtra was he was concerned because the influence of the holy place could have had a couple different effects. One, it could have come to the aid of the Pandavas because the Pandavas were on the side of righteousness. They had Krishna on their side, and they were very well known. Yudhisthira, he was the upholder of Dharma. He was the ideal to become the ideal king. The Pandavas were favored. They had so many wonderful qualities. They were the favorites of Dronacharya. And they had very good qualities as opposed to the Kauravas who had, some devious qualities. We learned in the past they tried to, in several attempts of assassinating the Pandavas. So the fact that it was taking place in a holy place, Kurukshetra, that could favor the Pandavas. Also, he was concerned that the influence of the holy land of Kurukshetra may negatively influence his sons. Okay, maybe it'll lead them to a compromise. At the same time, it could also lead the Pandavas to renounce their desire to go ahead with this fight and avoid it was about to happen. The war was about to take place. So we go to the next verse. Sanjaya said, O king, After looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. So King Duryodhana went to his teacher. Who was his teacher? Who is he referring to?
Dronacharya.
Answer. Go ahead.
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya, correct. Text 3, he says, "O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent the son of Drupad. O my teacher, behold the great army, the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupad." Now, Srila Prabhupada, he starts off his purport and he says, Duryodhana, he is a great diplomat, and he wanted to point out the defects of Dronacharya, the great Brahmin commander-in-chief. Dronacharya had some political quarrel with King Drupad, the father of Draupadi, who was Arjuna's wife. As a result of the quarrel, Drupad performed a great sacrifice by which he received the benediction of having a son who would be able to kill Dronacharya. So that son's name was Drishtajumna. Now, Duryodhana could have said, "Behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by Drishtajumna." But he said to Dronacharya, "the son of Drupad." And he did that to be able to invoke feelings of anger and wanting to fight, because Dronacharya, it could be understood that he had some proclivity toward the Pandavas. It was well known that Arjuna was his favorite disciple. So the fact that he had to now fight against Arjuna, fight against the Pandavas, he may not give it his all. There may be something that was holding him back. He may not be all in. And Duryodhana was worried about that. He was worried that will Dronacharya give it his all? Will grandfather Bhishma give it his all? So in order to kind of stoke the emotions, stoke the flame of wanting to fight, he called out Dronacharya's archenemy. So this goes back a long time. Now, Dronacharya was born Brahmin. Drupad was a prince, a Kshatriya. But they wound up in the same Gurukul together, and they became very good friends. At one point, Drupad told Dronacharya that, when we get older, I inherit the kingdom from my father, I will give you half. So sometimes, kids, they make promises, children, they make promises to each other. So time went on, they exited the Gurukul and they parted ways. Dronacharya, he got married, and he was living as a renounced Brahmin at the time, but he got married to Kripi, Kripacharya's sister, and they had a son, Ashvatthama. And one night, Ashvatthama was crying, and he realized that he didn't even have enough milk in order to supply the crying child. So he remembered that promise that Drupad had made. So he wasn't really interested in getting half of a kingdom, but he went to Drupad and he begged from him a cow. And he entered into the city, and upon seeing King Drupad, he reminded him who he was and that they were friends. And Drupad said that was a long, long time ago, and friendships can only take part among equals. And you certainly are not my equal. He wouldn't even give him residence to stay and sent him back home empty-handed. Now, this was a great insult to Dronacharya. Vishnugoda Prabhu, he's sitting here with us. So at any point, Prabhu, if you want to interject any type of insight into the story, or if you understand, please do so. So later on, Dronacharya, he became the chief trainer, military guru for the Pandavas and the Kauravas. So Duryodhana and his brothers and the 5 Pandavas. And after he trained them, they came to him and they said, "We want to offer you some dakshin. What can we give you?" And Dronacharya said, "Go and capture Drupad, King Drupad." So the first one that stood forward was Duryodhana, and he says, "Me and my brothers will go and capture him for you." They went out, they began to fight with Drupad and his generals and his army, and they were defeated and sent back. Dronacharya was devastated. All this training that I did, and here you go out, and you can't even defeat my archenemy. Arjuna stood up and said, "I will defeat them. Let me have a chance." And he went out, and he took his brothers with him, and with the Pandavas, got engaged in the battle with Drupad and his army, and they captured Drupad and brought him back to the feet of their guru, Dronacharya. Dronacharya then reclaimed half the kingdom that was once promised to him, thus making Drupad his enemy. And Drupad then performed a sacrifice in which he would then have a child, a son, that would kill Dronacharya. And then he had a daughter, Draupadi, which would then marry the Pandavas. So now you see the story intertwining in each other. On the opposite side, you have Drishtajumna and Drupad. And Dronacharya is on the other side. Just Arjuna. Okay. So, Drishtajumna, he approached Dronacharya and he asked, "Can you train me in the martial arts?" Now, Dronacharya was aware that Drupad performed a sacrifice to have a son that would be destined to kill him. So what do you think Dronacharya did? What would most people do? If somebody engaged in a situation where they knew that this person was meant to harm you, and that person came to you and said, "Can you tell me your secrets so that I can learn them and then in turn turn them around and use them on you?" Srila Prabhupada writes, Dronacharya knew this perfectly well, and yet, as a liberal Brahmana, he did not hesitate to impart all his military secrets when the son of Drupad, Drishtajumna, was entrusted to him for military education. So, that is all embedded within just these couple words here in the in this passage of text number 3. The fact that Duryodhana, remember, he's Srila Prabhupada calls him a very skilled diplomat, and he's going to use diplomatic skills in order to rally up his troops, as we'll hear over the next couple verses. Text 4. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal to the fighting of Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yuyadhan, Virata, and Drupad. Now, Duryodhana mentions Bhima and Arjuna because he considered them to be the most lethal. He mentioned them first. And he's saying there's others that, are equal in fighting to them. Now, Bhima had, I don't know, Vishnu Grappa, did you cover this part in that last week? No. So Duryodhana was especially afraid of Bhima because Bhima, he had took 3 vows before the battle had taken place. He had vowed that he would personally kill each of the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. And there were times when the other Pandavas could have killed some of these brothers or sons of Dhritarashtra, but they spared them so that Bhima, could do that. So the other was that he vowed that he would break Duryodhana's thigh, because at one point during that time when Draupadi was humiliated in the assembly, Duryodhana, he pulled up his dhoti and motioned that she should come sit on his thigh or sit on his lap. And Bhima was enraged by this and vowed that he would break his thigh. And then the other was that he would open up, he would open up Dushashan's chest and pull out his heart and drink his blood. So very violent. He was a great valiant warrior. But there's a story because of that, because Dushashan had actually unknotted Draupadi's hair, which was again a great insult to Draupadi. And Draupadi said that she would keep her hair untied until she was able to wash it in Dushashan's blood. So Bhima vowed to bring that blood, to Draupadi. So we continue on. There are great heroic, text 5, there are great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Shetikana, Kasiraj, Purujit, Kuntiboj, and Shaibya. There are the great Yarumanyu, the powerful Uttamaju, the sons of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. Text 7. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. So now we're going to get into the Kauravas. But before we get there, are there any questions or comments anybody would like to mention before we move on? Okay. We'll continue on. Text number 8. There are great personalities like you. So this you that Duryodhana is talking to again is Dronacharya. He's explaining this to Dronacharya. You, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashvatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bodhisattva, who are always victorious in battle. So Srila Prabhupada mentions here that Vikarna is the brother of Duryodhana. So these other generals, but he was not at the same, he is mentioned there, but he wasn't of the same caliber as these other fighters that were mentioned here. So the reason his name was mentioned was because he was one of the ones that objected to the treatment of Draupadi. And thus the thought that he may have some inkling of sympathy for the Pandavas. So one way that you kind of get somebody fully on your side is you include them in an assembly or in a category of people that maybe they don't belong, but it will flatter their ego. So putting them in the category of Bhishma and Dronacharya and Karna was to help him move, to rally up the spirits of his soldiers. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Text 10. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. So Srila Prabhupada explains that because of grandfather Bhishma was the most experienced of all the generals there, so therefore his strength was considered to be immeasurable, or the greatest. Now, there's another use for this word that we'll find in the next verse, but Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that this word, because again, Duryodhana was a politician, so he had he saw his role as to really make sure everybody was prepared for battle. So this word that is used as immeasurable, apariyaptam, it can be used in two ways. It was like in English, we use the word priceless. So priceless could be used as you have zero value, you have no value, or it could mean that nothing is as good as you. It's immeasurable, meaning that it could be insignificant or it could be really, really great. So in the next verse, when Duryodhana then says, all of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Srila Prabhupada comments, he says, he emphasized that Bhishma Dev was undoubtedly a great hero, but he was an old man, so everyone must especially think of his protection from all sides. So he simultaneously, by using that word, was able to inspire grandfather Bhishma, you are the greatest, no one is comparable to you, but also signify to the other generals that we have to give protection to grandfather Bhishma because, he is older and he may have wisdom, but the physical strength we're unsure of. So a lot of this highlights the diplomacy and diplomatic skills of Duryodhana. Text number 12. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making the sound like the roar of a lion, and this was giving Duryodhana joy. So this symbol of the conch shell is a symbol of Lord Vishnu. Blowing it brings auspiciousness. The blowing of the sound, it gave Duryodhana joy. But another way that it can be looked at is that Grandfather Bhishma didn't respond to the words of Duryodhana, but he blew the conch shell. In other words, the will of Vishnu will be done. All your talking is talk, but let's see what the Lord desires here. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, indirectly, by the symbolism of the conch shell, he informed the depressed grandson, Duryodhana, that he had no chance of victory in battle, because the Supreme Lord Krishna was on the other side. But still, it was his duty to conduct the fight, and no pains would be spared in that connection. Grandfather Bhishma was well aware that the Supreme Lord was on the other side. He was willing to perform his duty, and he indicated that by blowing blowing his conch shell. Any Vishnu Prabhu? Any comment? Text 13. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all sounded suddenly, and they combined with a sound that was tumultuous. On the other side, Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. So again, this is being communicated from Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra's, he's on the edge of his seat wondering, what is happening out there? What is about to, who has the edge? Who's in the position of favor? You can imagine if that was you and you were trying to wonder, what was going on, you'd be wondering, how are they doing? Are they doing good? Did things looking positive for me? In modern day, a mundane analogy to this would be that if you were, for instance, talking to somebody who was at a sporting event, and it was a big game, and you were trying to get information. Well, what just happened? Who's up next? What's going to happen? Does he look good today? Does he, and the information that would be communicated to you would give you either hope or despair. So Dhritarashtra was dependent on the words of Sanjaya. So Sanjaya used this word in relationship to the conch shells that were being blown by Arjuna and Lord Krishna. Divya Shanko. So their conch shells were transcendental, they were divine. Now that wasn't the same as on the sides of the Kauravas. So Srila Prabhupada, he comments in the purport. Victory is always with persons like the sons of Pandu, because Lord Krishna is associated with them. And wherever and whenever the Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is always there, because the goddess of fortune never lives alone without her husband. Therefore, victory and fortune were awaiting Arjuna, as indicated by the transcendental sound produced by the conch shell of Vishnu, or Lord Krishna. In addition to that, the chariot on which Arjuna and Krishna, both friends, were seated, they had been donated by Agni, the fire god, to Arjuna. And this indicated that the chariot was capable of conquering all sides, wherever it was drawn, all over the three worlds. So all of this is being reminded now in the mind of Dhritarashtra, and we can imagine, after hearing this news, do you think his spirits went up or down? They went down. So the next verse, Lord Krishna blew his conch shell, called the Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devadatta. And Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Pondra. King Yudhisthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Anantavijay. And Nakula and Sahadev blew the Sughosh and Manipushpaka. The great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter, Shikandi, Justajumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupad, the sons of Draupadi, and others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. Srila Prabhupada comments, Sanjaya informed King Dhritarashtra that Sanjaya informed King Dhritarashtra very tactfully that his unwise policy of deceiving the sons of Pandu and endeavoring to enthrone his own sons on the seat of the kingdom was not very laudable. The signs already clearly indicated that the whole Kuru dynasty would be killed in that great battle. The whole catastrophe was due to King Dhritarashtra because he encouraged the policy followed by his sons. So all these sons Dhritarashtra is now seeing through the words of Sanjaya that has got his hopes down. His initial fear that the influence of the land, the Dharmic Kshetra, was now coming true. Yes, Vishnupada Prabhu.
So, how did Dhritarashtra encourage his sons? Is an interesting point. The Srila Prabhupada says Dhritarashtra encouraged his sons. When you actually read about it, sometimes he objected to what Duryodhana was going to do or others were going to do, but he never put his foot down. He went along with it. So that was just as good as encouraging, because he could have stopped it, but he didn't. Just like a kid, when they throw a tantrum, if you give in, ultimately, then that encourages it to do it again next time.
So the parent may say, yeah, I know he did something wrong, but but they don't do any corrective measures to put an end to it. So like trying to assess Pandu, the Pandavas, or the derobing of Draupadi, all those things. It's not that he encouraged them, he told them to do it. He just never really put an end to it.
He never stopped them. Because he really wanted it to go. To show us.
The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both the sky and earth, and it shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. Srila Prabhupada writes very nicely in the purport. When Bhima and the others on the side of Duryodhana blew their respective conch shells, there was no heartbreaking on the part of the Pandavas. Such occurrences are not mentioned. But in this particular verse, it was mentioned that the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered, vibrating from the Pandavas' party. This is the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. So they had the Supreme Lord, the goddess of fortune, on their side. It was located in a holy dham that it was taking place. They had the gift of the chariot of Agnidev, which was unconquerable within the three worlds. And then there was one more sign that we'll conclude with tonight. That was showing, that was symbolic to Dhritarashtra, that his sons were doomed. At that time, text number 20. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Srila Prabhupada writes, the battle was just about to begin. It was understood from the above statement that the sons of Dhritarashtra were more or less disheartened by the unexpected arrangement of military force of the Pandavas, who were guided by the direct instructions of Lord Krishna on the battlefield. The emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory, because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Ram in the battle between Ram and Ravana, and Lord Ram emerged victorious. Now, Ram and Hanuman were present on the chariot of Arjuna to help him. Lord Krishna is Ram himself, and wherever Lord Ram is, his eternal servitor Hanuman and his eternal consort Sita, the goddess of fortune, are present. Therefore, Arjuna had no cause of fear of any enemies whatsoever. And above all, the Lord of the senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present to give him direction. So earlier in the Mahabharata, Arjuna had gone out to seek celestial weapons from the different places in the heavenly regions. And the other Pandavas, along with Draupadi, they were up in the Himalayas in the Bandarik ashram. And floating down the Alaknanda river, Draupadi saw this amazingly fragrant lotus flower. It had a certain name to it. I don't know the name of it, but it has. And she says, when she smelled it, she said, "I have to have more of these, and I want to, so I can give to Yudhisthira. And Bhima said, you know, your wish is my command. And he looked up in the mountain where it must have flowed down from, the river flows down the mountain. So he looked up and said, it must be, the flowers must be up there. So he started charging up the mountain. And Bhima was always known as the voracious eater, as the performer of Herculean tasks. And he started charging up the mountain, knocking over trees and scaring the beast in his way. And as he was charging up the path, he came upon a monkey who was relaxing under a tree and whose tail was laid across the path in which he was going. So Bhima became a little annoyed by this, because when he was charging up the mountain, all the animals were fleeing here and there. And here is this monkey that's laying there, his tail, and he's not giving way. So he asked the monkey, can you please, move to the side? And the monkey said, I am too tired. And by the way, why are you creating such a ruckus anyway? Scaring the animals, knocking over trees. What's the big deal? Just have some fruit and relax. That didn't go over so well with Bhima. And he says, why don't you just jump over me if you're in such a rush? Because I'm too tired and I'm just relaxing. And Bhima went to lift his tail to move it to the other side, because even then there was an etiquette to be observed that you shouldn't cross over another living being. You shouldn't step over somebody. So as he tried to lift up the tail, Bhima, who's knocking over trees, he couldn't lift up the tail of this monkey. And just then he realized that, okay, something's going on here. And it was at that time the monkey revealed himself as Hanuman. And Hanuman and Bhima, they both have the same celestial father, the god of the wind, Vayu, where they both get their prowess from. And it was at that time they united, they embraced each other, and Hanuman told him that I will always be with you. And when you're in battle and you perform your battle cry, I will also instill fear within the hearts of your opponents. So Hanuman was there; he was present, not just on the flag, but he was there along with Arjuna and Bhima, the sons of Pandu, fighting along with them. His support, and Srila Prabhupada writes that wherever Krishna is non different than Lord Ram. Hanuman is the eternal servitor of Lord Ram, so he is personally there along with Krishna, assisting Arjuna on the battlefield, not just in symbol on the flag. And certainly, Dhritarashtra also knew this background. So this again gave him reason for despair. And the hope was being very gradually lost by Dhritarashtra and the sons of Pandu. So looking at the time, we're going to conclude here for tonight. If there are any questions or comments, we can do them right now. If not, we'll pick up again next week in our study of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Couple quick announcements. I wanted to thank our Sunday Feast sponsor today. It is Bhakta Arthur and Bhakteen Caitlin. They sponsored the feast on the occasion of the birth of their new son, Keshava Das. We thank them very much. They wanted to feed the devotees. This is a wonderful way to celebrate the birth of a child, is to feed the Vaishnavas and the Supreme Lord. So please join me in offering blessings and prayers to Keshava. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Also, this is the month of the Srila Prabhupada book marathon. Because Gita Jayanti is coming up, December is typically looked at as the month where we like to really promote and distribute Bhagavad Gitas. We'd like everybody to consider sponsoring at least one case of Bhagavad Gita. Now you can pick up those books and distribute them yourselves. You can donate them to the temple, and the temple has an initiative where we are distributing Bhagavad Gitas to motels locally, prisons, as well as hospitals. Dr. Charles and Danu Tarpata Prabhu, as well as a couple others from their team, are very active in doing this, and even during COVID, are very active in trying to distribute this message of the Bhagavad Gita and Srila Prabhupada's purports to awaken people to transcendental knowledge. So I'm going to hold this up here. It's actually going to be backwards for you. So the price for a case is not $801. It's actually $108. And there's two ways you can sponsor this. One is online. You can go on our newsletter every week, the latest newsletter. You can click on there and you can sponsor. And you can decide whether you want them shipped somewhere, distributed at the temple, or you want to come and pick them up. Or you can, when you stop by the temple during darshan hours, you can sponsor them at the front desk. So again, we hope that you engage in this this month of Sankirtan. There's a worldwide goal that ISKCON has set to distribute 2 million, that's right, 2 million Bhagavad Gitas. And Philadelphia wants to do our part. I think we have a goal of close to 2,500 Bhagavad Gitas. I don't have an update yet. We'll get an update for you guys and we'll put it in the newsletter next week. But again, please, if you can, distribute, purchase the Bhagavad Gitas, distribute them yourselves, or we'll distribute them for you. This will certainly help the world. The world is in so many different illusions right now, whether it's politically or with the coronavirus or so much suffering that's going on, depression that's reached people due to not being able to go out and and live their lives the way they've wanted to. So one way that we can really touch the lives of others is by giving them spiritual wisdom. So please consider that. Last thing I'll say is that every morning you can join us at 7:50 for Srimad Bhagavatam class. Wednesdays we have Chaitanya Charitamrita class. Saturday we have Japa Reform class. But we have class every morning at 7:50. Please come and join us. It's the same Zoom channel. Srila Prabhupada really wanted us to hear every day. And that is the medicine that will help cure so much of the material disease that we suffer from due to the lack of understanding of our true eternal nature. Thank you all again for joining us. We wish you stay healthy and safe. Those that want to come for darshan tonight, darshan is now opened and will be open until 7:15. Darshan throughout the week is from 6:30 to 8 o'clock in the evening. We wish it could be open all day, but we're doing our best to keep everybody safe during the pandemic. And if you do wish to come to see the Lord, during these times, the darshan is available. So we hope to see you here. And if not, we hope to see you on our Zoom classes throughout the week. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.